Hello and welcome to this tutorial. Okay, so we are halfway our data preprocessing phase. We learned how to import the libraries, to import the data set. We learned how to take care of missing data. And today we're going to learn how to encode categorical data. So the first thing that we're going to do is that we are going to explain why we need to do this. So I'm going to go to Google Sheets here to find my data set. And in this data set, we can see that we have two categorical variables. We have the country variable here and the purchase variable. These two variables are categorical variables because simply they contain categories. Here the country contains three categories. It's France, Spain and Germany. And the purchase variable contains two categories, yes and no. So that's why they're called categorical variables. And now you can guess that since machine learning models are based on mathematical equations, you can intuitively understand that it would cause some problem if we keep the text here in the categorical variables in the equations, because we would only want numbers in the equations. So that's why we need to encode the categorical variables, that is to encode the text that we have here into numbers. Okay, so in this tutorial we're going to encode these two variables, country and purchased, and you're going to see that the technique is quite different. So here we are on R. We're going to use something very practical in R, that is the factor function. And the factor function will transform your categorical variables into numeric categories, but it will see the variable as factors. And you will be able to choose the labels of those factors. And due to this specific reason, we will need to create three columns for each category. We will just transform the country column into a column of factors, and we're going to specify what the factors are. So let's do this. Let's start by encoding the country column. So we just need to take the column country, and to do this we type dataset $country equals, and then we use the factor function, factor, and in factor we're going to specify three things. So let's have a look at the factor function. To do this we click on F1. Okay, so this contains some info about the factor function. Let's look at the arguments. The first argument is the data that we want to transform into factors. So this is of course going to be our country column from our data set. Okay. Then the second parameter is levels, and that's the names of the categories in our country column. So let's add here levels equals. So we're going to write the vector of levels here, C parenthesis, and then we will input here our three categories. So that's France, Spain, and Germany. All right. So by the way, C here is a vector in R. So by creating this C, France, Spain, Germany, we are creating a vector of three elements, that is France, Spain, and Germany. Okay, and the last argument that we need to input is labels, because we want to choose which number we want to give to France, to Spain, and to Germany. So we're going to add here labels. And then since we transform our country categorical variable into factors, we don't really care what numbers to use. So let's use 1 for France, 2 for Spain, and 3 for Germany. So this has nothing to do with my preference. It's not because I'm French that I choose 1 for France. It is absolutely non-order relative. So it's just by default that I use 1 to 3. Okay, so that's it. I just forgot one parenthesis, and I think this should disappear. Yes, good. Okay, so the encoding of the country categorical variable is ready. It's actually more simple than in Python. So before selecting and executing this, let's look at our data set. Our data set contains our country written in text. And now let's select this, execute. And now let's look at our data set. Perfect. Our country contains our encoded variable. And as you can see, 1 is France, 2 is Spain, and 3 is Germany. Okay, so that's all good. And now we need to do the same for the purchase column. And it's exactly the same. We're going to use the factor function. We're going to transform the text categories into numerical labels. So let's do it right now. We're going to copy this, paste it here. Here we're going to replace country by purchased. All right. Same for here. Here we need to change the levels because there are new categories. So the levels are going to be no and yes. Okay, and now of course we need to change the labels. So we're gonna put 0 for no and 1 for yes. I think that's what actually makes sense. And parenthesis. Okay, and that's ready. Let's look at the data set. The data set contains no and yes in the purchase column. And now if I select this and execute, the data set contains now 0 and 1. Perfect! We're all good. We encoded our categorical data in R, and now you know everything that there is to know about encoding categorical data in Python and R. So congratulations, we almost did the most difficult part. We are approaching soon the fun and exciting part about making models. So we are almost there. Hang on for 1 or 2 more tutorials, and this is gonna get very exciting. Thank you for watching this tutorial, and I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial. Until then, enjoy machine learning.